Guys, guys, guys. Guys, if due to public demand, then I'm demanding him not to speak, since I'm the one moderating. All right. Here's the thing. There's a lesson I want to teach you. You have to stand out to be counted. When it's 1, 2, 3, then it's in within the time frame. Sinisao. Have you ever a snapshot where you're meeting the president, UNEP, and you only have 5 seconds to form an essay, sell yourself out? Have you? Now that's the world. Sinisao. Due to public demand, at that time, the president UNEP wouldn't have any public for you to demand for you to speak. Sinisao. And remember, she's an English person. In fact, she's Anderson. Is it Anderson Egerton? How will you say mandazi? She will like, mandazi, what is mandazi? You know, Sindo. Hata kama sini wa Egerton, let's frame ourselves into the USIU and Strathmore bit. Sinisao. Nimefika 6,000. I was to give 6,000. Imagine how much I'm being paid here, and then I was like to slot my salary to you guys, man. Too bad, too bad, too bad. Well, the next session will be moderated with sorry. Well, the next session will be moderated with Emmanuel Gichuru, founder BM Eco Group. Let's welcome Emmanuel Gichuru.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I think now we're in a session where you will be waiting for. We'll have a panel discussion targeting the key areas that affects climate change and affects us as individuals. So without wasting much time, I'll go ahead and invite the panelists or the panel itself. So first of all, I'd like to invite Ms. Stella Lesruit. Ms. Stella Lesruit, please welcome on stage. And her pause so she comes.
Turn it up. Where's Mr. Stella? Thank you, thank you. Just have a seat. It's called the hot seat. It's red. Hapa kuna maswali, eh? So remember, oh sorry, I forgot to introduce this. It's a hot seat moderation session. When you sit here, remember you'll take questions to the audience. Sinisawa? Make sure you're well versed. Okay, invite the other one.
Thank you. So Ms. Stella Retreat will be talking about community engagement and climate justice. Just give a round of applause for Ms. Stella. So next on stage we'll have Mr. Maurice Simiyu. Mr. Maurice Simiyu will be talking about problem-based learning and entrepreneurship opportunities in the climate change sector. Welcome, Mr. Maurice.
I can't hear the clap. Turn it. You're not clapping. 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 Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
So next on stage we'll have Mr. Michael Onduto. Mr. Michael Onduto will be talking about water conservation and the effects of climate change on water sector. So welcome on stage, Mr. Michael Onduto.
Mr. Michael Onduto. Where's Mr. Michael Onduto? Mr. Michael Onduto. Mr. Michael Onduto. Mr. Michael. DJ. Wameniambia as Mr. Michael comes in. Let me hold that. Okay. As we wait for Mr. Michael, next on stage will be Cynthia Wanini, our chair and the youth representative, Egerton University. Madam Chair, will you please take the hot seat? All the clubs as it comes. Thank you. Now, these problems, climate change affects our communities. Therefore, we do expect inclusivity from community leaders, community stakeholders, us as youth. Therefore, let's welcome Mr. Kamau Bushiri. Let's clap for Mr. Let's clap.
Kenene Kwanda, yani the international band. Jesus mwenyewe, Benjamin Kaginewe.
Thank you. Well, I can see the session will be very, very hot. Mr. Emmanuel, are you ready?
Yes, I am.
As we wait for Mr. Michael Ondoto, where is Mr. Michael Ondoto? If Mr. Michael Ondoto is not in, who can sit on behalf of Michael Ondoto, Mr. Michael Ondoto? Remember, you have to stand out to be counted. Well informed on climate change. Anyone? 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 Well, two gentlemen are coming in. Well, well, there are two. We want one, Mr. Michael Ondoto, right? Audience, I know you have tough questions. I want us to gauge if they can fit in Michael Ondoto's seat. Any questions, any tough questions you have? Good. If it's simple, tonight cancel due to public demand.
Should I stand? Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kasi Isaacs. My question goes, we have 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Which 3 goals do you think relate to climate action, and how can you explain them? Thank you.
All right. Should we start with the left or the right? Left or right? Left ni side gani? See you. All right. Na sioni kuinua mkono. What's up?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm George. I'm an environmentalist. I want to answer his question. We have 17 the SDGs. I will go with the SDG 1. That is no poverty. As you know, climate change really links with everything, all resources. So if there is depletion of resources, there will be poverty. And then there is zero hunger. As you know, soil resources will be degraded, and hence will be reduced crop yields. And then you go life below water and life on land. As Professor Egerton said, he had pollution, so it affects the life on water and life on land, and thus will affect the entire ecosystem. Thank you.
Now, I will go with SDG 1, number 1, that is eradication of poverty. I will go with SDG 13, that is climate action itself. And then I will also go with SDG number 12. Yeah. Right, so we all know that poverty is the driver of even us cutting trees and even lack of enough money even to buy the trees and seedlings. And it's also a driver for even poor dumpings and everything of that sort. Now, when we talk about climate action, we cannot talk about climate action if we cannot talk about climate action itself. Yeah.
Good. Thank you, sir. So he's Mr. Derek Oweso, and he's representing Mr. Michael Ndoro, who will jump in the next session. Thank you. Take a seat. Take the hot seat. Well, DJ, bado tujafika kwa hiyo. Thank you. So the session will be moderated by Mr. Emmanuel Gichuru, the founder and the director, ECHO BMB, and I, Simali Dickson, your moderator. You can go on. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. So I'll go direct to the panel itself. So I'll start with Ms. Stella. Kindly share something brief on community engagement and climate justice.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Stella Lesirite. I'm glad to be here, and I'm very excited to talk about the issue of community and climate change. As someone who comes from one of the most affected counties in this country, I think I have quite some experience, first-hand experience actually. I come from Samburu County, as you all know. That's a county which can actually go for like even 3 years without rainfall. And when it rains, the rainfall is too little to even support agriculture. So the issue of climate change has really impacted most part of the ASAL counties, especially when it comes to the area is becoming desert by the day. The community entirely depends on livestock, which is directly affected by the impacts of climate change. So yeah, as we go forward, I'm going to delve into more points on community involvement, community justice when it comes to climate change, and even community access to resources, including land and finances. Thank you.
Thank you. Let's have 1 minute introducing ourselves.
Okay, so next will be Mr. Morris.
Thank you very much. My name is Simiyu. I'm an agribusiness mentor and coach, and I'm also a climate change youth advocate, and I'm happy to be part of this panel. Thank you.
Hi once again. I'm Derek Oweso Nyambane. I'm the chairperson Motion Movers Club. Thank you. And I'm a passionate person for as much as climate action and environmental conservation is concerned. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Cynthia Wanini, the first female president, Egerton University. Yes, and I'm the president, Nakuru Tertiary Students Association. I'm the president, Githongori Tertiary Student Association, a member of the Jubilee Youth League from the main Jubilee Party, and a future member of the Youth Bunge in Nakuru County, and a leader of the great youth of Kenya who are involved in environmental conservation. Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Kamomu Chiri. I'm the current secretary, Njoro River Water Resources Users Association. It is a community-based environment management group, and I'm also the treasurer, Makiranjo Beekeepers. We do beekeeping, and that's an area where we are also being affected by the effects of climate change. And I'm also the chairman of Njoro Fish Farmers Cooperative Society. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Here are a couple of house rules. This is a hot seat. It's not a presentation. No clapping. Sawa. No walking in and out. good focus need focus. Sinisawa. You can go on, Mr. Michael.
Thank you. On to our first panelist. So my first question to you, how can communities, especially the marginalized groups, you've talked about coming from the Samburu communities, how can they be more effectively engaged in climate action initiatives to ensure that there is climate justice that favors them and the society that they come from?
Thank you. I think the first priority should be in leadership. We have our leaders at the county level and at the national level. They are our voice out there. The community cannot do as much, but we have our leaders. They are responsible to air our grievances as the community speaks, as the community raises concerns. It's their duty to table bills in parliament. It's their duty to air their grievances at the podiums where climate change effects are being talked about. So I can say the community, we need a lot of empowerment when it comes to climate change at the community level. Most people know nothing to do with climate change. For example, right now I go back to the village and ask my grandma if she knows anything to do with climate change. Hajui. I ask my grandma right now if she can forfeit climate change. I don't think she can agree to that because she has no knowledge on climate change. So I think we need a lot of advocacy at the community level. We need a lot of awareness and a lot of education. And the way we disseminate this information to the local community also matters. I feel like the climate change issue is too academic for the local people to even understand, for them to connect with what we are saying. So at the community level, I think they cannot do as much because they also depend on us people who are in schools, they depend on our leaders who are a bit, when you have knowledge about this issue. So yeah, we need a lot of things to be done on the ground, education, advocacy, and all that. Also, when it comes to the issue of inclusivity, at the community level, I don't think, for example, now for the summits that are being held internationally, globally, and even the recent one that was held in Nairobi, I think, climate activists from Samburu County were complaining that they were not included. They were never invited to the summit, meaning their grievances were never tabled. Their voices were never given a chance to be heard. They were never given a chance to talk about the issue they are facing. So the issue of inclusivity is also one of the major problems. And I think this goes to the leadership because they are the ones who are responsible for the summits. They are the ones who are responsible for organizing these programs. So bringing people on board matters, and they need to be included, especially at the local level. And they need to be given the voice to air their grievances and to be included even during the implementation of these activities, not just talking and talking and talking. Thank you.
Thank you for those remarks. I'll go to the next question. I hope you will briefly answer it. So how are the governments, from the national government to the local government, that includes the county governments, how can they ensure that the community voices are heard and also they're able to integrate some of these community members into the climate policy making processes?
Thank you. At the county level, I think right now we have county committee associations dealing with the empowerment at the local level. But I think we also need to introduce the climate ambassadors at the most remote part of the countries, or at the most affected part of this nation. We cannot depend on these people at their offices. In most cases, these things will just end up on paper. They will come to the village, talk to the people, but you see, when you go to the village and talk to my grandma using your good English, atatoka hapo kama hajaelewa chochote. So in my opinion, I think we need climate ambassadors who resonate with the language these people understand, the language they can understand when it comes to climate change. So we need to get people who can talk to them directly and show them what is happening. We don't just go there, mobilize people, talk to them in a language that they don't even understand. Big terms are used, climate change, what is climate change, globalization, what's globalization? Do they even understand it? Can they even be able now to accept the strategies these counties or the national government is coming up with? Are they convinced enough to accept these strategies that are being brought up to them? So I think we need that direct link between the leadership and the people on the ground. And we need it. We have students here who come from different parts of the country. Get someone who understands, if, for example, you're going to Samburu County, do I understand Kisamburu? If I go there and talk to these people and explain to them about what climate change and what everything it entails, they will be able to resonate. But you pick someone from, for example, Nyanza, go to talk to them about climate change, hakuna kitu wataelewa, watatoka hapo with nothing. So we will end up coming up with policies that are never going to be implemented because we do not understand what we are doing. We cannot even link it to the direct problem. Thank you.
So as an individual, what initiatives or what action have you taken into ensuring that this does happen?
This is the first, I can say, this is like one of the initiatives I'm doing. Showing up, speaking up, your voice matters. Your presence matters. You don't show up, you cannot be counted. So it's you use your voice. As youths of today, you guys are very much empowered and you guys have the tools in your hands. You have your phone, you have the internet. Voice out your problems, voice out your issues online. Almost every organization that is dealing with climate change are on the online. They are on Twitter, they're on Facebook, they're everywhere. They hold their forums even online. Show up, register, speak up. The moment you show the interest that you're interested in solving out the issues affecting your people, you will be counted and you will count and your actions will count. Whatever small you do will count at the end of the day. So attending these forums, taking part in this activism, advocacy, talking to your people at the ground level, and even sharing information across. That is one way of engaging and making sure that you're seen and you're being heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Stella. Perhaps we moved from global warming and went to climate change. It was an anthem. It was an anthem. Global warming, global warming. And then now it's another new anthem, climate change. Perhaps this is just, a concrete word. Should I say something big and ambiguous for the local communities to understand? What is climate change? What is global warming? What went through? And as a community stakeholder, as a leader in the community, I'll talk in Kiswahili. Ni jambo gani ama ni vipi tunaweza fanya muweze kuelewa, ama ni vipi tunaweza fanya muweze kukua pamoja na sisi ili kuendeza huu ujumbe wa utabia nchi?
Asante. I think the first initiative that we must consider is to build their capacities, especially on matters of gender mainstreaming. Because you find on matters of environment, men usually dominate ownership of trees, ownership of land. They decide on who is going to cut the trees. If they are commercial plantations, who is to sell, how much, and so forth. That's number one. We build capacities of our youth and women, and we include them in these activities. We let them own those, if they are trees in my farm as the father. So such an institution should be in the forefront of capacity building, or rather, breaking that cultural norm that if you're a man, then you must be the owner of everything, that concept. So number two, as an institution, when you are doing conservation of giving out of seedlings or planting trees, it's good to liaise with the chiefs, the community elders, and organizations like LOA, because we have the presence in every corner of this, watershed. So we refrain from presenting trees that are praise and then give anybody who is passing by. Secondly, we encourage and teach them on post-planting care. Most donors and funders usually do not fund post-planting initiatives. Formerly, we used to have forest rangers who took care of those forests, and no wonder they were there. Nowadays, you just come plant and go. So there's a lot to be done to include women, to include the youths, especially for us like Njoro fish farmers. We are short of bloggers who can speak about what we are doing. Tuko na wazee hapa, ukimwambia WhatsApp ajui nini. If you can have youths that are knowledgeable in that area, managers who can direct us what to do, then it's good.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mushiri. We've heard of carbon capture, carbon credit. Are you aware of it? Carbon capture, carbon credit. As a institution, as financial institution, as financial institutions, how can we include you as the community stakeholders and leaders through carbon capture and carbon credit?
That is an area that requires a lot of training, because it's a new thing amongst our communities. If you go to, okay.
Well, I will try to explain carbon credit if you, or you're good with it? Okay, thank you.
So what I want to do is this. If I have a number of trees on my farm, then I need to know the type of trees that are recommended, because we understand there are some that are better in let me say, capturing that carbon, and the rate at which I'm going to be, paid, when and where. So all that kind of information is lacking. Number two, as a RUA, we do a lot of tree planting on our farms, in the institutions, and public spaces, on the riparian land, and so forth. If we do all those activities on land that does not belong to anybody, for instance, like the national government, like the such an institution, how is the sharing of that benefit? You see? So as a community, we wish to learn more about carbon credit and carbon, around that area.
Well, perhaps after this session, I will play a video of and explain a video of carbon capture and carbon credit, so that everyone understands what is carbon capture and how youths and stakeholders can be involved in carbon capture and carbon credit. Sini sawa? Tusiende tu tukipanda miti. You're just planting trees. You don't know, how can I credit what I'm doing? Sini sawa? Mr. Emmanuel, back to you.
Yeah, thank you. The youth play a very crucial role in the community and in climate action. So this directs my question to the next panelist, the president of the the Egerton University Students Association. So what role or what do you see today that the youth are driving, or a meaningful change that the youth are coming up in matters climate action efforts in these communities, or rather in the society that you yourself come from?
Well, thank you for that. I will want to admit first that talking about climate change among the youth is not such an interesting topic, is it? It is not very interesting. And I am very happy to see that we have so many youths who have now been engaged more and more into the talk on environmental conservation and matters climate change. It means that the future is very bright because the youth have come to a point of understanding that they are big stakeholders in our future in matters of will we be breathing fresh air? Will we be eating fresh food? And so on and so forth. From where I stand as a youth, specifically in Egerton University, I have witnessed very many programs that have taken place in Egerton University and even beyond. The Youth for Green Action Kenya, together with Peace Ambassadors of Kenya Club, and in conjunction with Red Cross, and I think some members of UWEA were there when we were in Project Mount Elgon 200,000, right? And it was a good project. There is even one that was, they planted region. We ourselves have had several tree planting activities here in Egerton University, and I can say it is a commendable job. Yesterday I was talking to people from SIF Kenya, and SIF stands for Sustainable Energy Access Forum Kenya, and they were explaining to me about the new concept of water conservation and what Njoro is trying to do. So the same case with the youth. Youth are really fighting for their space out there in matters advocating for conservation of not only the environment but also the water. And the SecGen of SIF Kenya stated that the SIF leadership of Kenya chapter, it was led by older men only. But now they decided to take their stand and to be involved in the decision making in matters conserving our waters and our river sources. And I saw that it is, we are really making great and commendable steps towards the topic on climate change, and the future is very bright. And I can say Mother Nature is in good hands, in the hands of our youth. Thank you.
Okay, still on the same point, you have talked about these initiatives that you do carry out. So what support systems do you think should be integrated in these initiatives to bridge the intergeneration gap that, as you stated, there are only elder people leading some of these initiatives? So what are the support systems that you think will be brought up to ensure that the intergeneration gap is closed?
Okay, I love what our elder here has said, and he has said that he is in great need of the youth to be involved so that they can come and teach them how they can engage or involve social media in portraying what they are doing to the world. And I think it is not even a matter of competition between the old and the new and the young people, but rather it is a matter of everybody, in whichever capacity we are, taking a step and deciding that this is the way I'm going to be involved. And I've come to realize that we all have a role to play in matters environmental conservation and the discussion on climate change. I take psychology, and it is in no way related to what we are talking about today. And I've always been asking myself this question, being a leader in Egerton University, and this university being one of the universities that spearheads discussions on climate change. And I've asked myself, how can this course, or how in this course that I'm studying, how is it going to help me to be able to contribute to matters climate change? And we were talking yesterday, and with those amazing people from who came yesterday, and they said that we are having other discussions of how climate change is affecting people psychologically, and the psychological interventions that can be made so that we can be able to help those people who have been greatly affected by climate change, like in Samburu and elsewhere. So every person here in this room, you have a role to play. Just look at what you do. You are branding. You as dancers here, I've seen amazing dancers here. How can you do some choreography to ensure that you are spreading awareness on matters climate change? I see the scope is very big, and we cannot exhaust it today. Yeah.
As an influential person in the educational sector, or rather in this institution, having influence to the administration as well to your fellow students,
Okay.
So how do you think your university, or rather Egerton University, can better
here has done a common unit on communication skills, right? Or computer studies, right? Senior Comp 101 and Comps 101. So I think the contribution that Egerton University can make in terms of incorporating matters climate change into the curriculum is involving or incorporating common units that are going to educate us, even as an agricultural university, on matters climate change. That is what they can do in curriculum, and I know they have the ability to do that. The other thing they can do is to continue supporting our clubs that are involved in matters environmental conservation and all those other areas, so that they can continue to financially support us, even as the youth, even as we spread that awareness to our community. Yes.
Thank you very much. The youth are in a turmoil, saying that there is no employment. And as I said earlier, climate change presents an opportunity for us to take action and also create a sense of livelihood. So this brings me to Mr. Morris Simiyu, who will be talking about problem-based learning and entrepreneurship opportunities. So, Mr. Simiyu.
And maybe before we move to Mr. Simiyu, sorry.
Okay.
I know most of you, or probably some of you, have pressing questions. You can channel them through our social media, but the most convenient social media is WhatsApp. You can use 07. Just send the question there, and then I'll read out to any of our panelists. Direct the question, write the question, direct it to someone in the panel. 07 08 95 66 51. 07 08 95 66 51. WhatsApp.
Okay. As I was saying, Mr. Simiyu, climate change is a problem that affects all of us, and specifically the youth. As similarly, it presents an opportunity for the youth to take action and create a sense of livelihood for themselves. So, problem-based learning and the approaches can be used to foster entrepreneurship opportunities aimed at addressing climate change. So how is this problem-based learning, how can it be utilized in climate action as far as entrepreneurship is concerned?
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. What is first this thing called problem-based learning? This is a concept that we're trying to borrow from Finland. Finland has the best education system in the world. And we have a project that is trying to implement that problem-based learning in teaching, not just in schools, but also in communities. So how does it work? The role of the university is to produce knowledge, to process it, to pack it, to store, and the role of we have three critical stakeholders under problem-based learning. We have the universities or higher education institutions, we have the community, and we also have the industries. So universities are where knowledge is produced. While we have so many challenges in the communities, we realize that there is a missing link in our education system. That is why they have already started doing something under CBC, but that's at the lower level. But at the university, we can no longer call it CBC because now CBC is just basic skills, mathematical skills, and technology and engineering. We call them STEM basics. But now when we come to the university, we would like to look at a problem and how we can solve the problem as using different courses actually that are offered in the university. What happens under problem-based learning? You go to the community and identify a problem. For instance, this climate change is a very big problem in the community. So for tutors or lecturers who are teaching, they assign that project to a team of students. They can be from the same course or different courses, and then they go and find some solutions to that problem. When you start doing that from first year to fourth year, you'll realize that what the president has said, that climate change is not an interesting topic. Some students who have undergone through that system of training, they will begin to appreciate that it is indeed important to start solving issues to do with climate change. If you undergo the system, that's why Finland has been ranked as the best. We are doing a partnership under the project between the Finland universities and the Egerton universities. In Finland, even a grade 5 kid will tell you about sustainability. It is in their system, and the way they have been trained, it is like they understand about sustainability issues. That's why in that country they have about 12,000 rivers, and their forest cover is at about 30%. Remember, in Kenya here we are struggling with the 2%, and if the president achieves what he has said to his target of 15 billion trees by 2030, if God assists, then we'll be at about 10%. But for them, they're at 30% as we speak. So we realize that there is this, we have some skills of 21st century which a learner should have. And using the normal system of education that we have been undergoing, you come here, you do cuts, you do exam, you go to the next. Unfortunately, if you get a receipt or a retake, God forbid, but it also happens, you go through the system, but you are missing the skills of, we call them the 4 C's. That is the skills of creativity, skills of critical thinking, which is so important. Mzee who spoke earlier said when he was still a youth, he could go and buy a box of tree seedlings just by himself, then go and plant. I can assure you, Mzee, for now, even me, I've never thought of that. The reason is the system of education that I've undergone did not expose me to such skills that you can think the environment is changing. We are cutting trees daily because we want to build houses, we want to do industries. What can I do to safeguard the future? You think critically. Then you say, okay, since I have time, let me go and take my 100 shillings, just go and buy maybe 20 seedlings or 30 seedlings and plant around my compound. Issue we are not hitting.
Let's say, for example, I'm a youth, I'm just out of college. What are some of the opportunities that I can take advantage of that are brought up by this problem called climate change? What are some of the ventures? What are some of the projects that I can carry out at an individual level that will benefit me, apart from maybe seeking employment, getting dispersed, as the way Madam President was talking about psychological issues that come about climate change? What are these opportunities that I can engage in addressing climate action?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I was to talk about entrepreneurship opportunities that have come out of climate change. And the first one is very common and obvious. If you have your tree nurseries somewhere as a youth, then the chairman of Njoro River said we are supposed to leverage on digital and social media. You have your nurseries of many trees, and you can also do flowers. Then you take a nice picture and post that here I'm doing a very amazing job. I have seedlings. Who is ready? I think if you do a nice pic on Instagram or Twitter or anywhere, people will just come looking for you. The second thing is about we can have some proposals. You see, the easiest way to get money from the other side of the world is to write a proposal, because they have a lot of money, but you don't just go begging them using bare hands. You need to put down something that makes sense. You write a proposal and tell them, I would like to change my community and have a target of maybe 10,000 trees I want to plant in 5 years. They will find you a lot of money and they'll be able to implement the project and have also create some opportunities for other youths in the community. The third thing is about organic farming, which is coming up because people are becoming conscious of their health. Remember the presentation that was made by Professor Wilkista in the morning. we are using a lot of pesticides simply because of the market and because maybe we'll have some shortages of rain during the crop production period. So you want to hasten the product to go to the market. Now, the people who are a bit advanced in terms of education and also exposure will be interested in knowing what has been used to produce this food that I'm eating. So actually they are going to us organic farming. That's why the professor was talking about vegetarians. So as a youth, you don't farm the common way people have been farming, using fertilizers, using pesticides. You become unique a little bit. You go the organic farming way, you register with the organic farmers network, and then your products will be certified as organic, and you get some good prices for the products because of the unique and the value proposition that they have compared to other products in the market. So we have a lot of opportunities. And then there was this rich guy. Let me finish with this one. Who knows Manu Chandaria? Anyone who knows Manu Chandaria? Manu Chandaria? Yeah, at least people know. Manu Chandaria was asked. Many youths are complaining they don't have jobs, they don't have anything. But how can you assist them as a rich guy? And then the guy just laughed and then said, no, these guys are not serious because they of taking action out of themselves. They are just relaxed there, waiting for the government to come. There are two things he said. They either go and plant trees or go and ask in a classroom the teacher that has not reported, then they go and teach. So the aspect of climate change should be part of consciousness, and to make it and to integrate it as a consciousness skill, then we need to put it first in the education system, because a person spends about 16 years in school. So how do we miss about climate change? Yet we are talking about HIV/AIDS. We are talking about communication. So how did we miss on climate change? That's where we need to fix as the missing link. Thank you.
Mr. Simiyu, I think you need to team up with Madam President on changing the mindset of these people. Madam President, I think now psychology has found a niche in the climate change space. Yeah. Thank you. Mr. Moderator, would you like to take on the next role? Thank
you. Oh, let me add on something about what can be done, or rather the opportunities that are there. Number one, as an institution, you must realize that, or as a student, majority of you, when you get out, some of you will get those white-collar jobs. Others will venture elsewhere. And there is money everywhere in others ventures. For instance, you can venture in, we are not speaking about climate smart agriculture. There was a student sometimes, huko mwisho huko, alikuwa anatuteach mambo ya vermi composting, mambo ya those things. We took it up. We are now doing black soldier fly somewhere. You see? And it's doing very well. Number two, there is these nature-based enterprises, beekeeping. You must not have a very big ranch or a piece of land. Yeah? 100 bee hives will occupy a very small space. And number three, we must encourage community-owned, community-led, and community-managed initiatives. Let the community own that initiative, let it manage it, and let it, be the one that drives that initiative, and it will be a prosperous one. Thank you.
The quote goes, we don't inherit the earth from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children, right? Mr. Derek Oweso, what legal policy frameworks do you think should be incorporated to solve climate change or in the climate mitigation space?
Thank you for the question. and I want to answer it from this perspective. Climate immunity. But one thing I will tell you is we need to start. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago, but the very best time is right now. We have done sensitization, we have done information, we have informed our society. But there is one thing I learned. For as much as you will tell someone to do something, if you are not doing the same thing, expect a little from that person. So one is we have the tree planting. Two, we have to be cautious about our disposals. There is SDG number 14 that speaks about life in water. There is SDG number 15 that speaks about life on land. You see, we have to be cautious. We have to inform ourselves. That's one of the things. Another thing that I believe and I know it works for every one of us. You know, we always go out to inform other people. But is our inner circle informed of these things? Does your mother know that cutting a tree without planting another tree is a nightmare, is a mess? It is a demon in the room. Does your grandmother know that just taking your plastic things and then go and dispose them in water bodies, it is also another nightmare? You know, let's start from the word go, from our inner us. When we'll inform ourselves, inform the people close to us, then put everything that we know in action. It is the first, it will be the first thing. Lastly, we are, as Kenyans, let me talk about our country. We always know and we have mastered the blame game. It is not me, it is someone else. Let's master, let's internalize that and accept the reality that whatever that is happening, you are contributing to it in one way or the other. And if we start from that point, then we are in a safer side. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Derek, just before you hand over the mic, I see you are more conversant with the SDGs. Can we say they're only limited to the 3 SDGs, the life underwater, life on land, and climate action? What about the other SDGs? Because I believe the SDGs are connected in one way or the other because they are all achieving sustainable development. So just in a brief statement, kindly explain how, for example, SDG 17 partnerships, how can it contribute to climate action?
Thank you very much. Let's look at SDG 17, talks about partnership to achieve these goals, you see. And one thing I will tell you, when you go for hunting, for those elders who are within here, they know what hunting it takes. It is easy to catch a prey when you are a team than when you go alone. And one thing I will tell you is we don't need, you know, there is something that has always been happening, that we are in our world as the youths, and the elders are in their own world. It is the different thing with SDGs. Because you will realize that poverty, to some point, affects climate change. When someone is hungry, you don't care what you are going to take in. You see, that is SDG number 2. You see, these things, when they happen in this way, in one way, an action this human being is going to take will affect or will kick back to our climate. And what we know is anything that I do today, wherever I will dispose how are we going to dispose our waste products from our industries and all those kind of things? If we all be responsible about our actions, then it means we are doing something. But for as much as we'll always be assuming that there is someone who is going to do something, trust you me, just the way you are assuming, everybody else is also assuming.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Derek.
Yeah, just to add on that, you see, we don't have a problem with the legal frameworks under climate change. We have a climate change act in place. We have a climate change policy. We have adaptation strategies. The problem that we have is coordination between the national government and the county government. What happens is if you have those policies at the higher level, then they remain in the shelves of those institutions. The people down here who are in the county, they don't understand anything about implementing climate change, and now that becomes a bigger problem, because even if you are a youth and you are telling them about climate issues, they will just listen to you and then they say, okay, yeah, he's talking about climate change. Those things we keep on hearing about them, even if we don't see the need of acting on them. It's because they have not owned this climate change issue, and they have not owned, not because of their mistake, but because they don't have proper information or sensitization and coordination mechanisms from the national government to the county on what should be done. Take an example of the tree planting day that had the other day. It is the national government that was doing it. Why did they not allocate money to counties to do it? So it means anything at the county level, the people who will say, no, us, we don't care about it because it's a project of national government. So the aspect of ownership is missing, and in as much as we'll keep on talking about this thing, unless that is fixed, then we still have a bigger problem to solve. Thank you.
Thank you, my dear panelists. So I'll give 15 seconds for each of you to give a parting shot before Mr. Moderator directs us to the Q&A session. Thank you.
Before we jump into the 15 second, now, we should engage the community stakeholders and leaders, right? And the greatest threat to our planet is the thought that someone is coming.
Yeah, number one, you realize that in life you do what is best at your locality. And in those areas, I would recommend, number one, if there is plenty of water, then whether stagnant or where, fish farming is the best thing to do. Number two, if the temperatures are not conducive for farming, then you adopt these climate smart agriculture like greenhouse farming, like you stop relying on rain-fed agriculture. You grow crops that are or rather take fewer months to be ready, and above all, it's better to liaise with experts on matters agriculture, so that you can specialize on what is best at your locality, depending on the soil types and prevailing conditions. And for instance, there is another thing that I spoke about, and I would like to stress on it. There are initiatives that you benefit from, but you use waste. For instance, this black soldier fly. We are doing it to get that larva as a source of crude protein, but you are using organic waste from the markets, and it's doing very well as Njoro Fish Farmers Cooperative. So we will feed that on our fish, on our pigs, and on our chicken. So such initiatives that can be done indoors will benefit them.
Well, as we promised earlier, we will do something which is inclusive, and we want to include you as the audience. Now, I've been receiving questions just before we head into the 15 minutes recession. I've been receiving questions. The first question goes to Wanini. Between La Nina and El Nino, which one do you think has more negative impacts to biodiversity? I think that's one is simple. Both of them leads to Simiyu. What is biodiversity, and how is biodiversity? How can we make it extinct? I think both of them. Simiyu. That is simple, right? Because they're impacting our lands at the same. If El Nino comes in, if La Nina comes in, they'll both impact the climate the biodiversity. To Cynthia Wanini, Don't you think many people who are advocating for climate change are driven by self-interest? Because where I come from, we have seen many who have been funded doing their own projects. Keep it as brief as possible, Madam Cynthia.
Oh, the person who asked that question, you wanted to grill me, Sindio?
Well, it's a hot seat.
It's a hot seat.
Yeah.
Okay. I was very categorical when I was asked a question when I was seated back there. And it all boils down to the level of passion that somebody has towards a certain cause. And I view myself personally as a change maker in my society. And people do various things for various reasons. There are people who are into leadership because you're going to get a viewer and you're going to get people following you in black may change. There are people who are very genuine and intentional when it comes to matters climate change, and they have a genuine desire to bring change in the whole issue. But in the same place, soko ikosangi nini wenda wazimu, si ndio? Yeah, in the same sector, there are people who are driven by self-image change and environmental conservation. Thank you.
Well, the audience are loving Cynthia Wanini. Other questions for you? Well, I'll only take 2 questions per person. So, sizi kuje kwa Cynthia Wanini zote. So, distribute them to everyone. My question goes to Cynthia Wanini. As a student leader at Egerton University, I've noticed concerning trends of logging many trees on campus without adequate replacement. Can you please share your insights on why this is happening and what efforts have you undertaken to ensure that the trees being cut down are being replaced with new ones to maintain the ecological balance and sustainability for our university campus environment? Keep it short.
Wow, that's a good question. I was with the Vice Chancellor and we were talking about my term is almost coming to an end, and we were talking about the many changes and achievements that we have had as a student association. And one thing I'll want to let you know is that most of the trees that were cut around Egerton, there were those that were dry and old and unfit to be in those specific areas. And the school deemed it fit to cut those trees so that they can, because there is also a new landscaping project that is going on. There is a way they want to landscape better, to improve the landscape, and also to be involved in a lot of aftercare planting, right? Aftercare planting. So I know Egerton University as one of the universities that is very concerned. So that at least our school ikwe more.
Most developing countries are affected by climate change because we are bearing the brunt of emissions from developed countries. And now the challenge is we don't have the mechanisms and wherewithal in place to deal with the challenge of climate change. And that's why we will keep on complaining about it. And they are giving us some small token in form of carbon credit, of which they have tied a lot of restrictions on it. And before you get that money, it will be a good hurdle. So those guys over there, we need to up our game also this side. Yeah.
I'm not satisfied.
The question was,
yes,
why is it that developing countries are complaining more about climate change? The reason is we depend on rainfall. Yet those developed countries, they have irrigation mechanisms in place. So if we keep on depending on rainfall, we'll keep on complaining day in, day out, because the patterns of weather are changing, and the drought cycles have kept on shifting from period to period. So if we don't act on introduce some irrigation systems in place, then we'll keep on complaining about climate change.
Well, Mr. Morris, It's the audience. Someone said, I'm not satisfied. That's why I asked you.
Oh, okay, okay.
It's them.
Yeah, it's
you know,
okay.
you are like punching. I said. Right? It's the audience, remember?
It's okay. I
Just a
understand.
minute, always.
Yeah.
My question goes to Stella. Pass to Stella. Well, let's say the name. I'm Timothy Kimoyo from the prophetic Chuka University, a concerned resident from one of the arid areas. Okay, good. That is the northern areas. Good, good. Now that sharing information is okay, information is not oh, Peter Kimoyo, VP. Information is not a concrete word to tell environment mitigators in curbing the climate change completely. How will you, as a resident from the mentioned the arid areas, I presume, ensure whatever you directly shared will not go in vain? A better enlightenment, please.
Thank you. I think he's asking about what I will do as a person.
I think so.
That's why I said you go out there disseminating information and then you disappear. When it comes to the cake sharing period, you are not there because you're not seen. Make sure you're seen. The information you take to your people, take to your leaders as well. Make sure it reaches out to the policy makers. It reaches out to the guys who comes up with these laws. It's incorporated into law, and it's taken into consideration during sharing of resources. I think that's the answer.
Back to you, Stella. Hold the mic tight. Told you it's a hot seat. Another question. Asked 3, but I'll take 2. My question goes to Miss Stella again. Do you see that attending conferences is more of theories? You as an individual, what action have you taken in your community? Have you mobilized your community members anyway? Yeah,
we have a lot of activities at the moment,
please
including...
please be precise and put the information.
We have certain NGOs at the moment at home doing a lot of tree planting activities. For example, one known as Plant Village. Plant Village works hand in hand with primary schools and high schools when it comes to tree plantation. We also have community organizations for tree plantation and women empowerment when it comes to climate change. We also have an organization called, the name has disappeared, but it's a youth organization that is also, those are some of the things we are doing at the moment. And yeah, you can take part in those organizations and make sure that you're counted, make sure you're seen, make sure you're